The police weren't yet here, but it was time to lay this mystery to— I do so love it when Wonderful. Everyone's here.
Begin, what?
Why, exposing the murderer, of course.
You mean...
Of course I do, my dear. Pity. You were the one who said we had to see the—
Come now, darling, you simply can't keep us in suspense.
Yeah, after all this, it better be good.
Tut-tut. All in good time, my dear little girl.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you see anyone leave—
No, ma'am. There was...
No, I'm sure they wouldn't.
Indeed not. I saw nothing of the sort, and if I might say so, a magician's eyes are...
I didn't see anything either. Nope.
Good then. So we—
Darling, this is just too much.
Oh, I'll take more orange juice.
Yes, sir.
This is it then. Whoever I point to now, if they wanted to have half a chance— It was you, Klops. You killed Prince Titanico.
Me? What are you talking about?
Now, Klops, there's no need for shouting. We can talk this through like reasonable people.
Urgh.
Why don't you, keep talking then, Misfortune?
Certainly. Perhaps first we should get the issue of motive out of the way. That shouldn't take long.
What do you mean? Why would I want to kill my own boss?
That, my dear man, is as plain as the perpetual scowl on your face. Quite simply, Mr. Klops, you were sick and tired of being a mere valet.
Klops, where have you been? My mid-afternoon cognac is late.
Sorry, sir. I'll fetch it straight away.
Good. And see to it that it doesn't happen again. Oh, and before you go, draw those blinds. I am trying to read some Guy de Mauvasoir in this wretched light. Pah! It is ruining the mood.
Yes, sir. Anything else, sir?
Yes, there is an orange juice stain on my best cloak. I shall need it cleaned at once.
Yes, whatever you say, sir.
Clean this, get me that, and all without a word of thanks. By the end, you were so dissatisfied with your work that you'd even taken to stealing small valuables around the house.
Klops? That was you? I always wondered what happened to those wonderful porcelain medieval miniatures. Shame on you.
Hey, look, not all of us get a free ride around here. Some of us have got to make ends meet.
Perhaps the prince even caught your thievery and threatened you. Or perhaps you were once again refused the promotion that you so obviously craved. Either way, enough was enough. It was time for revenge. I'll, take your silence as agreement then.
Take it how you want. I didn't do it, so I won't cop to nothing.
Still playing stubborn, are you? Very well. I think you'll come around when we consider how the prince was actually killed.
How? But we know how. It's pretty obvious just by looking at him.
Yes, that's just what you'd like us to think, isn't it? But the truth is that the prince was stabbed, yes, but that came later. If you look at the body, there's very little blood. And it also seems as if he fell with a good deal of force.
That
That's what it looked like to me, too. That must mean he was pushed from the landing at the top of the stairs.
Yes, exactly. Now let me ask you, just what was the prince doing when he left us for the last time?
He was going to take a phone call.
And who was it that told him about this phone call?
It was Mr. Klops.
So what? Of course I told him about the call. That's just doing my job.
Your job, yes. And also the last straw. He told you to fetch some candles for us while we stayed in the dining room, which you did, but not before you followed the prince back to the hall and pushed him to his death.
That's baloney.
Oh, come now, Mr. Klops. You had by far the best opportunity of any of us. And when you saw the prince alone, on the phone by the balcony with his back to you, you just couldn't resist. All that anger and resentment came welling up, and then whoops! In an instant, it was too late, and the deed was done.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. The simplest solution is usually the right one. But it doesn't account for the stabbing. When did that happen?
Ah, the little teacher's pet has been paying attention. Well done, dear. You see, the stabbing was done later. Quite a bit later, in fact. In fact, Charisse, my dear, I think you of all people should know when it was done.
You mean when... Oh!
Darling, seriously, what do you mean?
I think she's saying it was when he found the body. I saw him go into the hall and thought it took him a little too long to come back out.
Wait, you what? Why are you all ganging up on me all of a sudden? I thought you were the nice one.
I'm sorry, but it's just the truth of what I saw.
You see, after toppling his old master, Mr. Klops had a few moments to reflect while he puttered about fetching candles and the like. He realized that if we knew the true nature of the attack on the prince, he was sure to be the obvious suspect. So, he acquired a knife and returned to the scene in a clumsy attempt to disguise the time and method of the prince's death.
Before we get any further, I really must say that I am shocked and appalled that anyone on my friend Titanico's staff could behave in so ghastly a manner.
Right.
However, if what you say is true, Misfortune, then that leaves one question of supreme importance. Where now is the knife?
Orangey's got a point. If Klops here did the stabbing only seconds before finding the body, then he must have had it on him during the commotion of rounding us all up.
This is it. The one-eyed brute must have had it on him when he came running out of the hall. Very well, then. I will enlighten you all one last time. You see, the knife... is this one, right here.
Doc, you have it. Everyone, stay back. She's armed and very likely dangerous.
Oh, don't be absurd. I'm not threatening you. I found this in my bag a little earlier. I must admit, I was quite confused as to how it got there myself. Until now.
What do you mean?
Oh, my dear. You're still young. Your memory is good enough for this, I'm sure. Think back to the moment that we all saw the body.
Leah, the Comtessa, Horatio, and I all came in through one side of the hall.
And Misfortune and Klops came through the other. Oh my! You mean...
Exactly. At At the one moment when we were all sure to be fixated on something else, namely, the ghastly sight of the body itself, Mr. Klops planted the damning evidence on the only person he happened to be close enough to. Yours truly. Isn't that right, Mr. Klops?
Ah! No way! This whole thing is a setup.
Oh, yes. That's what you intended it to be. But you picked the wrong person to set up. Luck has gotten the better of you.
My word, I hear sirens. The police are here, and not a moment too soon.
Klops, I am very, very disappointed in you. I shall make certain that your pay from my late friend's estate is suspended with all possible haste.
All right. That'll really show him.
You good-for-nothing, pointy-hatted phony. You're the worst of them all.
Klops, that is quite enough. Surely you're going to cooperate with the police, aren't you?
Fine. I know better than that. But you haven't heard the end of this.
Mr. Klops, if you are innocent, I'm sure the police will find that out.
Goodness, I'm glad that's over. But at the same time, I can't help but feel a little disappointed, don't you think, darling?
How so?
After everything that's happened tonight, don't you find it a little bit of a letdown that in the end the solution was the butler did it?
Valet.
Oh yes, of course.
I should have been relieved that it was all over myself, but the way Klops had resentfully stomped off, I couldn't suppress a slight flutter of worry. He was a man who held grudges, to be sure. Was it possible he'd find a way to escape and come for me next? Was there even a chance he hadn't actually done the whole thing? But those were questions for another day. The important thing for now was that I was off the hook. One really must look on the bright side of things from time to time, after all.